You're listening to Answering the Call, the official podcast of the 12th Man Foundation. Our show provides listeners with an insider perspective of Texas A&M athletics and its greatest supporters. This podcast will bring you exclusive interviews with coaches, athletes, donors, and the dedicated staff of Aggie Athletics and the 12th Man Foundation. You ready? Let's dive into today's episode. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Answering the Call. I'm your host, Ivy Robinson, and I am joined today by Texas A&M football defensive lineman Albert Regis. Thanks so much for being here and coming on the show today, Albert.
I appreciate it. It's an honor.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here. To start us off, Albert, can you tell our listeners about where you are from and where you graduated from high school?
So I'm from LaPorte, Texas, Southeast Houston, greater Houston area. A lot of people don't really know where it is. So my best reference, I like to say, you know where Galveston is? And then I'm like, yeah, it's an hour away from Galveston. And I graduated from LaPorte High School. I lived in LaPorte my whole life, went to LaPorte Elementary, junior high, high school. I mean, they're all right beside each other.
Right there.
Yeah.
So really close to Galveston. Do you take a lot of beach trips growing up?
No. I mean, yes and no. So I was the only one in my family born in the United States. Everyone in my family is from St. Lucia in the Caribbean. And I went back home so much. Like, I basically said I also grew up there. I'm a full-blooded Caribbean, Lucian. Only thing American to me is just where I was born, and my accent, too. But I love going to the beach back home. The beaches up here are fun, but the crystal blue waters is 20 times better.
Does not compare.
It doesn't.
So tell me about your family coming to the U.S. What's that story?
My father came up here first. Mother came after. And I have two older brothers and two older sisters, and then a younger brother. And then I just happened to be here. My younger brother was my sister's son, but she passed away. So then we adopted him. So that's why I say he's my younger brother. I mean, I never looked at him as my nephew, even when he was born. But they came up, and then my brothers and sister came along after, and we've just been up here ever since.
What's your favorite part about LaPorte?
Believe it or not, the chemical plants. Because
Really?
LaPorte is surrounded by chemical plants. And I loved it because we always made jokes saying to live in LaPorte, you have to have a different immune system because every day you're smelling chemical plants. And it was just kind of like our thing. And whenever I go back home and I'm on the highway, I always roll down my windows and breathe in the chemical air. Now, is that safe? Probably not, but I can take one.
So you're saying y'all believed it made you tougher?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, the chemical plants, the port right there, you got to have some iron lungs to breathe that in.
There you
So
go,
I
yeah.
believe it made us stronger.
Yeah, so you're like, hey, we're from LaPorte. I mean, if we can grow up and face this environment, we can face anything, basically.
Yeah, basically.
So when did you start playing sports? Was it a very young age? How did you get introduced to sports?
I started in 6th grade. Always loved football. Always did. But I started in 6th grade. Played for a team called LaPorte Broncos. One of my close friends at the time, during that age, introduced me to the team. And I was like, Mom, I want to play. Mind you, Caribbean parents are very strict. When they say no, they mean no. So it took a lot of begging and convincing. And my mom knew how much I love football. I played 4 games with them. I'll never forget my first game with them. We were losing 20-0. And somehow, some way, by God's grace, I won that game. I'm not going to say we won. I'm going to say I won. Because I ended up having 4 touchdowns that game and brought us back and won. So after that, I quit. Then I waited till junior high. And then since I played with a bad team, I was kind of like, I don't want to play football no more. And a coach was like, you should play. And I was like, you know what? Okay. And then he had me at left tackle. And I was like, all right. The Little League team had me at tight end and outside linebacker. So I'm used to getting the ball in my hand. And now I'm at left tackle where I'm blocking for people. And I was kind of like, I don't like that. And then it was, I think, our 3rd game in the year. And it was back and forth. I mean, at the time, if I'm looking back on it, and we were all just pretty bad at the game. So it looked like it was a lot harder than it seems, you know. But I ended up getting moved to running back, scored, won the game 6-0, and it was kind of like, okay, cool. And then I just progressed. Eighth grade, I played running back, and I played D line as well. And then freshman, I started on varsity all 4 years of high school. Never forget my first touchdown my freshman year in high school. It was a 10-yard out route because I'm a starting tight end. Like, this is when I was skinnier, you know, before the muscle caught up to me. So, first touchdown, 10-yard out route, caught it, broke two tackles, juked out one dude, scored. The whole crowd's chanting, he's a freshman. We lost. We lost that game. But it was still like a surreal moment that I always think about. But I didn't really start taking football seriously until my sophomore year when I got my first offer. And then since then, I kind of just took it and ran with it by
How,
God's will.
how cool. So, had it not been for that friend you said in sixth grade or that coach that encouraged you to keep at it and to come back to football, I mean, I guess thanks to them, like,
Yeah.
that's why you continued.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was also really good at video games too. I mean, still am, but
You have a
I'm a
favorite video game?
I'm a big anime nerd. Like, I have it tattooed all on my arm. Like, it played a major role in my childhood. And I remember when this game, it was called Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, first came out. I played that game nonstop.
Like, religiously.
Oh, you couldn't get me off those controller sticks worth of nothing. And at one point, I was ranked top 3 in Texas.
What?
And I was like, you know what? Like, I was like, oh, I'm the man. This is cool. But then I was like, that's kind of bad. Like, I shouldn't be on this game that much. I was
You
losing.
said your parents were strict. Were they ever like, get off those video
Oh,
games?
yeah. Yeah. I mean, you walk in the house, take your shoes off, you don't keep your shoes in line, game gone. Like, any small, minor inconvenience, and I didn't have my game for like a week. But it also taught me just how this world operates. At the time, I thought it was rude and like, man, that's unfair. Now I'm like, I feel like you were taking it easy on me, but hey, I appreciate what you did.
So I want to talk a little bit more about kind of high school era. Were you involved in any extracurricular activities outside of athletics in high school?
Yeah, I did choir. I still can sing, believe it or
Can
not.
you
No,
do you want to sing on this podcast?
nah,
Oh, come on.
nah.
Okay, if you could sing,
Okay,
if you
so
could
like
sing anything, just what would the song be?
the
Like,
song,
yeah, what would you choose to like
oh
sing to
man,
someone as like, yeah, I can prove I can sing.
um, that's a hard one. I haven't thought about that. There's so many songs that I like. That's a hard one.
Okay,
I
we'll come
don't.
back to it.
Yeah, I will say there's one song I did love singing from like seventh grade, eighth grade up until like, I mean, still now. It was a Location by Khalid.
I love Khalid.
But yeah, I
It's
started
a great
choir
song.
sixth grade. I did it all the way up until sophomore year of high school. Then I was kind of like, it's fun and all, but it's not my thing no more. I did the musical my sophomore year. I was a guy dancer in a musical called Newsies. Had a great time, enjoyed it. I learned how to tap dance and still know how to tap dance, actually.
There's so many unique talents here,
Yeah,
Albert. Oh my
but
gosh.
that was really about it. I mean, outside of sports, it was just choir and the musical.
Okay, the blend of the choir and the singing and the musical and the sports, it's giving me High School Musical vibes.
You know, I think the same thing too, but I wasn't as corny as being on a golf course, looking at my reflection in the water and hitting the
Oh,
reflection in the water. I was more so like a background character,
okay,
just going
yeah.
about my day.
Okay, yeah. Man, burning Troy Bolton over here. That's so funny. All right, so shifting gears into college. At what point did you decide, hey, I want to pursue football on a collegiate level? Well, you mentioned that earlier that you got your first offer as a sophomore in high school. So was that always the goal up until that point? Or once you received that offer, was that kind of like, whoa, hey, like I could continue this? I want to continue playing
Yeah.
football in college.
So to take it back, I remember in 8th grade, I made a promise to myself because I'm a diehard Texans fan, and I promised myself that I would bring a championship back to Houston, and that's when it kind of started, like me working out more. But it wasn't until sophomore year when I picked up my first offer from Baylor, when I was like, hey, this is actually kind of cool. But then I was like, what do I do? And they're like, come on and visit X date. And I was like, okay. Drove up to Waco with my mom, my sister, my little brother, my mom's close friend. And I mean, I had a fun time. First unofficial visit, surreal moment. No one in my family's ever been through that. So it's kind of like we're all just enjoying it. And then that made me realize, like, man, there's a lot more to football and recruiting than what I knew. So then it was kind of like, well, I just want to get back to work. And I had a thing that I did in high school because I used to work out every day. And whatever I picked up an offer, I would not work out that day. I would kind of just celebrate it, like go to Jack in the Box, McDonald's, something, buy myself something, or you ask my mom for some money to buy me something.
Yeah, like a little
Just
personal
you know what
day.
I'm saying, treat
Yeah,
myself, celebrate it,
yeah.
and then by tomorrow I'm like, okay, like time to get back to work. And I still have that same mindset. Like for example, summer workouts. I go through the whole week of summer workouts, enjoyed it, and then on a Saturday or Friday after workouts, I'm like, let me go get some fast food, some French fries, celebrate that I earned my weekend, and just do it in a safer way than going out and putting myself in horrible situations.
And I like what you said there, like just celebrating the little victories, like giving yourself that reward, but in a humble way, in a mature way. And that's great. So why Texas A&M? When did you receive the offer to come here, and ultimately what were the key factors in deciding to come here?
So it was during 2020 when I got an offer from A&M. I was committed to Minnesota at first. Fun fact about me, I hate the cold, but you know, it was just young, didn't quite know how this whole recruiting thing went down. Committed, decommitted. Then I was kind of my head coach, Coach Renfro at the time. Major shout out to him. I hope he's listening to this because hope he knows. Like major shout out to him and his family. He was the one. He was like, you don't have many places that are interested still because it's like you decommitted. So a lot of people pulled back, and it's like, is there anyone you want me to reach out to? I named a couple schools. A&M happened to be one of them, and it started with Coach Elijah Robinson. Like he was the main reason why I came. He just showed me a true relationship and not know this is what I'm telling you to trying to get you to come here. And he was honest with me. And my biggest thing was I just wanted an honest coach at the end of the day.
So up until that point, you had, told your coach, you said coach, was it Renfro?
Hmm.
What, I guess, what all did you know about Texas A&M at that point? It was just like you knew.
Country.
So that was the first thing that popped in your mind,
If,
country.
if I'm being honest, country and cold like. That's what I was
Okay, yeah.
told. And I was like, cold like, whatever. I was like, that's probably just make believe. I think people call it cult like just because everyone here is so passionate about it. From the
It
outside, yeah, it does look like it looks
I can
crazy.
see that, but
Like
once you get here and
it's
you
just
you
everyone here is very passionate about the school, but all I knew was that it was country because it's like I just seen how everyone dressed on game day, and I was like, yeah, that's country.
got their cowboy boots
Yeah,
on.
like
Yeah.
like when I came to watch a game 2019 against Auburn, I came in some sweats, shirt, some Nike shoes, and I'm looking around. I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely not dressed to attire
Well,
right
you were
now.
probably the smart one because you were dressed comfortably,
Oh,
you
I
know?
was, and then I seen everyone standing the whole time, and I was like, oh man, I thought everyone here when I was younger had incredibly strong legs, cause standing for an entire game, I was like, yeah, that's.
That's next level.
I still don't get it. Like, I still don't know how y'all can do it, but I love it at the end of the day. It shows the support, so I can't hate.
Hmm. You had your opinions about Texas A&M before you got here. So when you actually came here and you became a part of the program, walk us through the mindset of how it was when you started to understand, okay, this is pretty cool and everybody's passionate here and Texas A&M is pretty great.
Yeah, I first got here, I was excited because it was like, yeah, I graduated high school May 28th, and then by May 29th, I had to be up here by 10 a.m. And LaPorte's like a 2 hour drive from here. So I was like, ooh, like quick turnaround. But I got here and I was like, man, I'm in college now. I just got shown around campus. I was like, it's cool. Was I a little scared? I think yeah, but it was like any new kid in college would be. But all those thoughts that I had prior kind of disappeared. I That's when I transitioned from the cult like mindset to just everyone being passionate. And I was like, I could see the vision that A&M has and what everyone buys into.
Definitely. Like when you get here, you feel that passion and you feel the camaraderie. I mean, and on game day, it just elevated to the max because so many people pack Kyle Field. And like you said, the students stand the entire game. Like the entire game, they don't sit down.
My freshman year, I redshirted, so I barely played. I remember sitting there watching. I'm looking at everyone. I'm like, y'all really out here standing? And I was just looking at when they put people on the jumbotron. I'd look at them and I'm like, man, like that looks like fun.
So, Albert, what's your major?
I major in leadership and my minors are coaching and youth development.
What's your favorite part about your major? And do you have a favorite class?
Um, Favorite part about it is just learning how to be a better leader. I mean, there's all different kinds of leaders. I mean, a lot of people just either know leaders as you're the one to speak out and be vocal, or you're the silent type and go to work. And I've always been the silent type, but knowing the deeper definitions of leading and knowing the micro leading and all that stuff, that's what I enjoyed. Favorite class would have had to be my one of my minors. It was with Dr. Chad Nelson. Shout out to him. I mean, awesome dude. Awesome, awesome. His class was always fun. I mean, he would always make jokes at me. I can't remember the name, but we used to go to the challenge course, and it was like, if Albert's doing this with the ropes, who's gonna catch him? And it was like, you got me. But no, he always made just funny jokes. He
Did you
was
say
always,
you? You,
I ain't catching me.
Mr. Nelson?
And I mean, he could try, but nah, his class was always fun. He was so energetic. He made it fun every day, and it was worth going to class.
So, Albert, you're also a Tolman Foundation 1922 Fund Scholarship recipient. How did it feel to receive an opportunity that would allow you to pursue an education here at Texas A&M while playing football in the sport you love?
It was cool to get that official offer in the mail, and it was like, yo, like they really paying for everything. I was like, Mom, you ain't gotta pay nothing, and we just praised God, and it was like, okay, now where do I go? And it was like, okay, do I go here, here, here? I mean, I only had like six official offers, but A&M just some about being closer to home means a lot to me, and just I wanted to play big time. I wanted to go play in a conference where it was like I knew I deserved to be there, and that's why I came here.
Albert, a lot of our listeners on this podcast are donors and season ticket holders of the 12th Man Foundation. And if, they're listening, what is your message to them? Because a lot of our donors, they give so student athletes can have scholarship opportunities to come here and not have the financial burden. So what is your message to them if they're listening of how grateful you are for that type of support?
I can speak for everyone when we say we appreciate it. You help a lot of families out without realizing, mine included, and it's a blessing. Like even though we may not get to see them often or talk to them often or whatever it could be, it's a blessing to have someone cover everything for you, and they just want you to have a great future. And like I mean, if that doesn't speak about like true modesty from the heart, like I don't know what does, but it's a blessing.
You mentioned future. What do you think? What do you see yourself doing in the future? What are your goals and plans?
I mean, main goal, obviously, like I said earlier, bringing a championship back to Houston. Like that's been something I've envisioned since a little kid, and I always will envision it because I truly believe in it. But after football, I just want to work with kids because my childhood wasn't bad, wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good. It was like bad. So I like working with kids And I think it's a God gifted ability because I've had coaches like their daughters, like newborn daughters, will cry when anyone else holds them, but then I'll hold them and they won't cry. Like I've stopped babies from crying. Like my nieces love being around me, nephews, cousins, like they just love being
So you
around
just
me.
have this like gentle presence with
Yeah,
kids.
that's why I call it a God gifted ability.
Yeah.
And I have a quote that I like to say. I don't want to be the light that shines in the tunnel for a kid. I'd rather go into the tunnel and give them the light and show them how to use it to find their way out. And I'm not just gonna give them the light and then walk away. I'll be right there beside them their entire time because we all fall short sometimes, religious or not, and we always need someone there to pick us up. And I want to be there. I mean, a while back, I went and spoke to an alternative school out in Bryan, and like, was I nervous? Yeah, it was an alternative school. I felt like those kids were judging me, but I was like, first thing I told them after I introduced myself was, I'm no better than y'all. Like, if you take away the football, everything, and we see each other on the side of the road, like you're human and I'm human. And I just spoke to them. I was like, whether they're religious or not, preached a little bit, just but I spoke from my spirit because I just wanted them to know like this is who I am. And I seen one of them in the mall during the summer, and he told me how he graduated and he was turning his life around, and it made me happy knowing that what I did impacted someone's life, and knowing that just makes me want to do it more.
Wow, Albert. I that everything you said there, I just want to unpack all of that. I love how you said you don't want to just be a light to kids and then just go away, but you want to walk with them through challenges and like you said, the dark tunnel. And so, how neat is that that you have that passion to go back and pour into younger generations and maybe help kids who are struggling or who are in difficult situations. I mean, that is just that speaks so much to your character, who you are as an individual. And it actually reminds me too of we had Coach Elko on the podcast. He talked about how this year, for the first time, the entire football team roster was a part of the big event. And so having that mentality of like, let's get in the community, let's go pour into the people in this community and help in ways that we can. Can you speak to that and how you've seen that mentality kind of echo throughout the program and how it's benefited the program?
I mean, it's just more selfless service. Like enough, like this world already has too many me's. Like we just need more we's and us. And that's something he kept implying every day, just selfless service. And it's either you buy in or you buy out. And we all bought into it, and I mean, it's been tremendous. It's working. It's fun giving back to the community, but when you're with your close friends, your teammates, and you're doing it, like it just brings a different type of joy to the heart. And yeah,
It just builds camaraderie too. Like y'all are experiencing things together. That just makes a stronger team, right?
that's true.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back to the 12 Man Foundation again. 12 Man Foundation donor contributions help support resources for student athletes here at Texas A&M, like nutrition, academic support, mental health, facilities, athletic training, sports medicine, and marketing opportunities. Do you have any resources that significantly impacted or have significantly impacted you during your time at Texas A&M?
Sports medicine. I mean, like sports medicine slash training room. I'm not a big medicine taker. Like I'm more natural, like using things from the Caribbean, naturally
Kind of a
that came from the
holistic,
earth,
yeah, holistic approach. Yep.
Yeah, but if needed be sports medicine because it saves you time when say you got a sore throat and you got to run to Walmart or CVS or something and buy you it when I can just go ask them and they have it already. Like it's just the little things like that. Or if you're really sick and you're like, man, I think I need to see a doctor, but you got to set it up and then you got to wait. With them, it happens quicker. So I would say that, and then obviously the training room, just being able to recover. Like I didn't know so much about training. All I knew was stem and ice, but there's a lot more to just stem and ice. and like just how recovering is great for the body outside of just sleep and all that. Like it's a lot, but I would say those two is like what impacted me the most.
Have you experienced any injuries playing football here and any setbacks that those resources really helped you overcome?
My first injury like here was when 2022 we were playing Arkansas, and somewhere in the first half I broke a bone in my hand, and I didn't realize until halftime. And the whole time, like when I wasn't in, I'm like, man, why can't I like bend my pinky? So I grabbed my pinky and I'm like forcing it to bend. Mind you, didn't know it was broken. So then that just made it worse. Then I'm like, dude, my hand hurts. Like I took off my glove and all on the right side of my hand was just purple. And I was like, yeah, that's not good. Got an X-ray, seen it was broke, and I was like, dang, like it's unfortunate. But I missed the week after just to recover, and then I played in a club for the next couple of weeks. And then the second time was Tennessee last year when I went down with ankle sprain. And I genuinely thought my ankle was broken. I mean, I really did think my season was over. Couldn't walk. I mean, it hurt
Mm. I
like
remember that actually.
terribly.
I was at that game. Yeah.
It hurt terribly. Like I was in genuine pain. Like I don't cry that often. I'm not gonna sit here and tell y'all and the listeners that I'm a tough dude. I don't cry because I do. I'm human. God made me same way He made the rest of us. I cry,
Hmm.
but and within the game of football, I refuse to cry, and that was the first time that I actually cried because I was so overwhelmed, couldn't move my ankle. When I tried to put pressure on it, I would fall. Like it was a terrible feeling. For my ankle, I was in the hydro pool, the pool with the underwater treadmill. I was in that, I think, 3 times a day, every day out the week. Like I was in it so much that my muscles everywhere else started getting stronger. I was just doing everything I could to recover. Like that played a major, major role in helping my ankle recover.
I want to change the topic and bring up NIL. So, in this era of college sports, NIL is definitely, I mean, if anybody's following college sports, they are not unaware of NIL. So, can you share how NIL has impacted your life and how it has potentially benefited your family's life?
It allows me to pay my mama's bills. I was raised off of food stamps and credit cards. My mama did everything she could to keep me safe as a kid, and just having a way to repay her for everything. I mean, there's no other feeling knowing that I could pay my own bills and pay my mama bills. Like I like to tell my girl, I'll be like, hey, like I'd rather be broke, but knowing that everything's paid, so I can sleep easy at night.
Mhm.
Like yes, sometimes things change, situations happen, but I mean it's impacted my life to help my mom. And at the end of the day, like it's cool for me. Like yeah, I can save money. It's cool, but I care more about just seeing my mom smile and knowing that I can take more things off her plate and help her. Like at the end of the day, I mean, I love my mom's. I'm gonna do whatever I can to support her, and because she did everything to support me, so it's like why shouldn't I return the favor?
Do you think NIL is teaching you like any lifelong skills?
Saving money.
Just
I
being
mean, just yeah,
financially
just
smart and
yeah. I mean, just knowing when to spend your money, when not to. I mean, you could be driving your car down Wellborn. Next thing you know, your engine done got messed up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you at least want to have something. Like, just being financially smart. That's what it's
Mhm.
taught me.
That's great. How would you describe, taking it back to game days in football here, how would you describe the atmosphere and environment of Texas A&M football this year?
It's just gonna be electrifying every game, home or away. I mean, I know the 12th man is always gonna be right with us, so we're ready to go for war.
As a junior this year, what are your personal goals for the 2024 football season?
I don't really set goals. It's just like I don't like talking about my game because in general, I don't like talking about myself. I like to let people talk for me because you can have your own opinion about yourself, and 20 other people could have 20 different opinions about you. So I usually let other people talk for me. So I never really set goals. I just go out there. I mean, God blesses me with a safe, injury free game. Setbacks happen. I just want to go out there and let God play through my body. And I mean, He gave me the abilities, the talent, the skill. So now it's just time to go put it out there. And whatever happens from there happens.
Such an inspiration. So wise, Albert. Very wise.
Shout out to my moms.
It's good upbringing right there. I can tell. What's your favorite part about playing on the defensive line?
The challenge. I mean, it's been a challenge my whole life. So the challenge of it, just knowing, hey, these two 300 plus pound dudes are probably finna come double team me. So I got to anchor down and really hold my ground. I mean, just the challenge of it. That's my favorite part. And then occasionally, you see those D linemen running downfield, getting that crazy big hit, and you're like, oh my god, like that too. But mainly the challenge.
That's great. I love it. I love the challenge. You're up for any obstacle that comes your way. What stands out to you about the defensive line this year? Anything unique or special?
We have so many different people, but we're all the same. Like so many different backgrounds, different upbringings, but we all have one goal in mind, and it's to be great and win.
To wrap up, Albert, can you tell us why you are proud to be an Aggie and compete for the maroon and white?
I mean, something special about this place, knowing that, I mean, 30, 40 years from now, if someone see you with an Aggie ring or they know you went to A&M, like, it's just a camaraderie, and I'm all for it. I mean, I'll go to war on game day for A&M.
Albert Regis on Answering the Call podcast. Albert, thank you so much again for being here today.
It was a blessing. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on another episode of Answering the Call, the official podcast of the 12th Man Foundation. A special shout out to our incredible podcast producer, Megan Hoffman, and 12th Man Productions for their generous use of this studio. We also extend our heartfelt gratitude to every donor and season ticket holder for always answering the call through loyal support of Texas A&M athletics and our student athletes. We will be back soon with more content. Thanks, and get going.